First Contact Protocol. The signal came at 3:43 hours Universal Earth Time, piercing through the background radiation like a lighthouse beam cutting through fog. CGTI stations across 6 continents simultaneously recorded the transmission, a mathematical sequence too deliberate to be natural, too complex to be coincidental. Humanity's first confirmed contact with extraterrestrial intelligence arrived not with celebration, but with warning klaxons. Commander Maya Chen stood before the hastily assembled United Earth Defense Council, her posture military rigid despite having been awake for 36 consecutive hours. The holoprojection behind her displayed the signal's decryption progress, 92% complete and climbing. The signal contains coordinates, technical specifications, and what we believe to be language primers, she explained, her voice steady despite the historic gravity of the moment. But the concerning element is this. She gestured, and the projection shifted to display a series of images, planets, star systems, and what appeared to be recordings of massive ships descending upon worlds. The final frames showed those same worlds darkened, resource-stripped, or shattered entirely. "We believe this is a warning," Maya continued, "sent by a civilization that encountered whoever is heading our way." Admiral Thorne, silver-haired and battle-scarred from the water wars of the 2070s, leaned forward. "Time estimate to arrival. 3 days, sir." The room erupted in controlled chaos, voices overlapping with questions of evacuation protocols, military readiness, and planetary defense systems that existed more in theory than practice. "Quiet," Thorne commanded, and the room fell silent. "Commander Chen, your assessment." Maya inhaled deeply. At 42, she had ascended through military ranks with a reputation for unconventional but effective strategies. The neural implant at her temple, a relic from her time in the Mars Rebellion, pulsed with a soft blue light as she processed multiple information streams simultaneously. "Our conventional defenses are inadequate against a species capable of interstellar travel," she stated bluntly. "The warning signal suggests they've conquered multiple worlds. Attempting to match them ship for ship would be suicide. Then what do you propose?" "Surrender." The question came from General Santos, his weathered face twisted with indignation. "No," Maya replied. "I propose we use what has always been humanity's greatest asset, unpredictability." 72 hours later, the first ships appeared in Earth's orbit. They emerged from what scientists would later term fold space, massive vessels that defied conventional physics. 7 of them, each the size of a small city, arranged in perfect formation around the planet. Their hulls were midnight black, absorbing rather than reflecting light, creating the unsettling impression of holes torn in the fabric of space itself. Earth's major cities had been evacuated. Populations moved to underground shelters constructed during the climate crisis. Military forces stood on highest alert, though Maya had convinced the Council that displaying their limited might would only provoke immediate aggression. Instead, all communications channels remained open, broadcasting a simple message in mathematical code. "We receive you. We wish to communicate." The response came within minutes, a transmission that automatically overrode every screen on the planet, from military command centers to smartwatches on civilians' wrists. The image showed a being that appeared vaguely reptilian, with iridescent scales covering powerful shoulders and an elongated head bearing 4 eyes positioned for perfect panoramic vision. When it spoke, translation algorithms struggled but managed a rough conversion. "People of Earth," the beam's voice rumbled through speakers worldwide. "I am Supreme Commander Zethkar of the Vraxian Armée. Your world has been selected for integration into our empire. Resistance has proven futile across 17 galaxies. Submit, and a portion of your population will be preserved to serve. Resist, and we will reduce your civilization to memory." Maya stood in the United Earth Defense Headquarters beneath Geneva, analyzing every pixel of the transmission. The Vraxian commander wore what appeared to be ceremonial armor, adorned with symbols that likely denoted rank and accomplishments. Their posture conveyed absolute confidence, the casual dominance of a predator that had never known defeat. "Send our response," she instructed the communications officer. The face that appeared on the return transmission was Maya's own, her expression calm but resolute. "Supreme Commander Zethkar, I am Commander Maya Chen of Earth's Defense Forces. We are a young species by cosmic standards, but we have survived extinction-level events, internal conflicts that nearly destroyed our civilization, and environmental catastrophes that should have ended our existence. We are not easily conquered." She paused, noting how the alien commander's upper eyes narrowed slightly. A tell, perhaps. "However, we understand the value of diplomacy. We propose a meeting between representatives to discuss terms that might satisfy both our peoples without needless bloodshed." The Vraxian's mouth opened, revealing rows of serrated teeth in what might have been amusement or contempt. "You misunderstand, human. These are not negotiations. These are terms of surrender." "Then help us understand what we're surrendering to," Maya countered smoothly. "Our species values knowledge. Allow us to send a representative to your vessel to witness the glory of the Vraxian Empire firsthand. Surely a civilization as advanced as yours can accommodate one primitive human without concern." The alien commander considered this, all four eyes blinking in an unsynchronized pattern that Maya's neural implant immediately began analyzing for emotional cues. "Your attempt at gathering intelligence is transparent," Zethkar replied. "But it amuses me. Very well. Send your representative. They will be permitted to observe our might before we begin the integration process. It may make your species' transition to servitude more efficient." "Thank you, Supreme Commander." Maya bowed her head slightly. "Our representative will prepare for transport immediately." When the transmission ended, Admiral Thorne approached Maya, his expression grim. "You're not seriously sending someone onto that ship?" "I am," Maya confirmed, "but not who they're expecting." "Who, then? You?" Maya shook her head and pulled up a personnel file on her neural interface, projecting it into the air between them. The holographic image showed a man in his early 30s with unremarkable features. Average height, average build, brown hair cropped short, eyes that seemed to shift between green and gray depending on the light. "Eli Reeves," she said, "maintenance technician, level 7 clearance." Thorne's eyebrows shot up in disbelief. "A maintenance worker? Have you lost your mind, Chen? We need a diplomat, a military strategist, or at minimum a xenobiologist. With respect, Admiral, we need none of those." Maya expanded the file, revealing classified sections that caused Thorne's expression to shift from outrage to astonishment. "What we need is Eli Reeves." 3 hours later, Eli stood in the preparation chamber, being fitted with monitoring equipment so discreet it was practically molecular. Unlike the military personnel surrounding him, he appeared completely at ease, humming softly as technicians attached the final sensors. "You understand the mission parameters?" Maya asked, studying him carefully. Eli nodded, his movements efficient and economical. "Observe, assess, survive. Don't reveal capabilities unless absolutely necessary. And if it becomes necessary." A small smile touched Eli's lips. "Then I make an impression they won't forget." Maya handed him what appeared to be an ordinary metal cylinder the size of a pin. "Emergency beacon. Activate it only as a last resort. Once it's on, we'll have approximately 20 minutes before the Vraxians trace and block the signal." "Won't need it," Eli replied confidently, tucking the device into his pocket. "The transport vessel will arrive in 10 minutes, Maya continued. "Remember, the Vraxians believe they're receiving a diplomatic envoy. Play the part until you can't." Eli nodded again, then asked a question that seemed incongruously casual given the circumstances. "Do you think they have coffee up there? Been pulling double shifts all week." Maya stared at him for a moment before realizing he was serious. "I somehow doubt the Vraxian Armada stocks Earth beverages." "Shame," Eli said with genuine disappointment. "Guess I'll add that to the list of reasons they're our enemies." As he walked toward the transport bay, his posture shifted subtly. The easy confidence remained, but something else emerged, a focused awareness that seemed to process every detail of his surroundings simultaneously. Maya had seen this transformation before, in the classified footage that had brought Eli Reeves to her attention in the first place. Admiral Thorne stepped beside her, watching Eli's departure. "Are you certain about this, Commander? The fate of our entire species may rest on that man's shoulders." Maya's neural implant pulsed as it completed its strategic probability calculations. "I'm not certain of anything, Admiral. But I am confident that the Vraxians have no idea what they're about to encounter." "And what's that?" "A human being," Maya replied simply. "The most dangerous creature in the known universe when cornered." The transport shuttle, a sleek diplomatic vessel stripped of all but essential systems, detached from the Geneva facility and ascended through the atmosphere. Inside, Eli Reeves sat alone in the passenger compartment, eyes closed, breathing regulated. To casual observation, he appeared to be meditating or perhaps sleeping. In reality, his mind was cycling through 16 different combat scenarios simultaneously, calculating variables, assessing probabilities, and preparing responses. This extraordinary capability wasn't apparent in his relaxed posture or unremarkable appearance. As the shuttle breached the upper atmosphere and the blue of Earth's sky gave way to the star-scattered blackness of space, Eli opened his eyes. Through the viewport, he could see the massive Vraxian vessels, their surfaces seeming to devour light itself. "Well," he murmured to himself, "let's go meet the neighbors." The shuttle's autopilot system received coordinates from the Vraxian flagship and adjusted course accordingly. As the small Earth vessel approached the enormous alien ship, tractor beams engaged, guiding it into a cavernous docking bay where dozens of smaller craft were arranged in perfect military precision. Eli felt the subtle shift as artificial gravity engaged, and the shuttle settled onto the docking bay floor with a gentle thud. "Guess that's my cue," he said to no one in particular, rising from his seat and moving toward the airlock. As the door cycled open, Eli Reeves, maintenance technician, level 7 clearance, and humanity's chosen representative, stepped onto the deck of the Vraxian flagship, a pleasant smile on his face and destruction in his wake, should it prove necessary. The unexpected champion. The docking bay of the Vraxian flagship stretched before Eli like a cathedral built for giants. The ceiling soared at least 40 meters overhead, illuminated by pulsing blue lights that cast everything in an eerie glow. The air carried a faint metallic tang, mixed with something organic he couldn't quite identify, like ozone and wet scales. 6 Vraxian guards approached, each standing nearly 3 meters tall. Their armor appeared to be semi-organic, shifting slightly with each movement as though alive. They carried weapons that resembled elongated rifles, but with components that pulsated with internal energy. "Human," the lead guard addressed him, the translation device in their helmet converting the series of clicks and hisses into rough English. "You will follow. Deviation from path results in termination." "Friendly bunch," Eli remarked, falling into step behind them. His eyes, seemingly casual in their observation, were actually cataloging every detail. Exit points, weapon configurations, the rhythmic patterns of the ship's energy pulses through conduits in the walls. They led him through a series of corridors that grew progressively more ornate. The utilitarian design of the docking bay gave way to passages lined with what appeared to be metallic tapestries, depicting conquest scenes, planets falling, civilizations bowing before Vraxian might. "Quite the gallery you've got here," Eli commented, "though the subject matter's a bit repetitive." The guards didn't respond, though one of them tightened its grip on its weapon. After several minutes of walking, they arrived at a massive door etched with intricate symbols. It parted silently, revealing a vast chamber that Eli immediately recognized as some form of command center. Dozens of Vraxians worked at stations arranged in concentric circles, while at the center, elevated on a platform, stood Supreme Commander Zethkar. In person, the Vraxian leader was even more imposing than in the transmission. Standing nearly 4 meters tall, Zethkar's scale-covered body rippled with muscle beneath ceremonial armor. All 4 eyes fixed on Eli as he entered. "So this is Earth's chosen representative." Zethkar's voice boomed across the chamber, a note of amusement evident even through the translation. "I expected someone more significant." Eli shrugged, his posture deliberately casual. "Sorry to disappoint. We left our giants at home." A sound that might have been laughter rumbled from the Vraxian commander. "You are either very brave or very foolish, human." "I've been called both," Eli replied, "though usually not by aliens planning to conquer my planet." Zethkar descended from the platform, each step deliberate and heavy. The commander circled Eli slowly, examining him from all angles. "You are physically unimpressive. Your species lacks natural armor, significant muscle mass, or enhanced sensory organs. Yet you stand before me without fear. Explain." "Maybe I'm just really optimistic," Eli suggested with a half-smile. The Vraxian commander's upper eyes narrowed. "Your humor is as primitive as your technology." Zethkar gestured expansively. "Observe, human. This single vessel contains enough firepower to reduce your largest cities to ash. Our fleet numbers in the thousands, spread across 17 galaxies. The Vraxian Empire has stood for 12,000 of your years, conquering all who oppose us." "Impressive resume," Eli acknowledged, "but you haven't met humans before." "We have studied your kind extensively," Zethkar countered. "Your history, your conflicts, your technological progress. You are divided, inefficient, and remarkably self-destructive for a sentient species." "Can't argue with that," Eli conceded. "But there's something your studies might have missed." "And what is that?" Eli's expression shifted subtly, his eyes focusing with sudden intensity. "We're full of surprises." Something in his tone caused the nearest guards to raise their weapons slightly. Zethkar noticed and raised a hand to halt them. "You came here to observe our might before your planet's surrender. Come then, I will show you why resistance would be not just futile, but laughable." The Vraxian leader led Eli deeper into the ship, through corridors that hummed with energy and chambers filled with technology centuries beyond Earth's current capabilities. They passed training areas where Vraxian soldiers practiced combat maneuvers with terrifying precision, and laboratories where captured species from other worlds were being studied, some alive, others clearly not. Eli maintained his casual demeanor, but his mind was working furiously, processing everything he saw, identifying potential weaknesses in ship systems, analyzing Vraxian physiology based on their movements. The neural sensors implanted throughout his body transmitted data back to Earth through undetectable quantum channels, providing Commander Chen and her team with unprecedented intelligence. "This," Zethkar announced as they entered a massive spherical chamber, "is the arena of judgment. Here, disputes are settled, strength is proven, and the fate of worlds is decided." The arena was enormous, easily 100 meters in diameter, with a floor of polished black material that seemed to absorb light. Surrounding it were tiered viewing platforms, where hundreds of Vraxians could observe the proceedings. Currently, about 50 were present, their attention immediately shifting to the human who had entered their sacred space. "Every species we encounter is given one opportunity to prove their worth," Zethkar explained, "to demonstrate whether they deserve to exist as servants rather than resources." "Let me guess," Eli said. "Combat trial." "Indeed. Your Commander Chen's request for a representative was fortuitous. It aligns with our traditions." The Vraxian leader gestured to the center of the arena. "One champion from your world against one of ours. Should your champion somehow prevail, we would grant Earth protectorate status rather than full subjugation. And if your champion wins, then Earth surrenders unconditionally, and we harvest your resources as we see fit." Zethkar's mouth opened in what might have been a smile, revealing those rows of serrated teeth. "Your species would be preserved, of course. Many of your kind would make adequate servants, and your genetic material has certain, Interesting properties. Eli nodded slowly, as if considering the proposal. And who would be Earth's champion in this scenario? Why? You, of course, Zethkar replied with evident amusement. You are Earth's chosen representative. Unless you wish to forfeit immediately. No, Eli said, his voice suddenly quiet. No, I don't think I'll be doing that. The Vraxian commander studied him for a moment, then made a gesture that caused several subordinates to approach. The trial will commence in one planetary rotation. You will be provided quarters and sustenance appropriate for your biology. I suggest you use the time to make peace with whatever deities your primitive species worships. As Eli was led away, he heard Zethkar issue commands to prepare the arena and to bring forth someone, or something, called War Master Kraz. Back on Earth, Commander Maya Chen watched the incoming data stream with intense concentration. The neural implant at her temple pulsed rapidly as it processed the information Eli's sensors were transmitting. He's gathering incredible intelligence, Admiral Thorne observed, watching the three-dimensional models of Vraxian technology being constructed in real time based on Eli's observations. But they're going to kill him tomorrow in that arena. No, Maya replied, her eyes never leaving the data. They're going to try. You can't possibly believe he stands a chance against their champion. Thorne protested. You saw their size, their technology. Maya finally turned to face the Admiral, her expression confident. Sir, do you know why I selected Eli Reeves for this mission? Your file mentioned classified abilities, but 8 years ago, Maya interrupted, there was an incident at the lunar mining colony. Official records call it an equipment malfunction. The truth is that a group of separatists took control of the facility, threatening to destroy it if their demands weren't met. The explosion would have compromised the moon's already fragile ecosystem. She pulled up a security recording that showed a man in a maintenance uniform, walking calmly through chaos. Terrorists firing advanced weapons, alarms blaring, people running in panic. Eli Reeves was doing routine maintenance when the attack began. Maya continued. 12 heavily armed separatists against 1 maintenance technician. The recording showed Eli moving with impossible speed, his ordinary appearance belied by extraordinary action. He disarmed the first attacker before the man could even register his presence, then moved to the next, and the next, each takedown executed with mathematical precision. The entire incident lasted 23 seconds, Maya said, freezing the footage. All 12 separatists neutralized. No civilian casualties. Admiral Thorne stared at the screen in disbelief. How is this possible? Is he some kind of experimental super soldier? No, Maya replied. He's what some would call a savant. His brain processes information differently than ours. He sees patterns, predicts movements, calculates trajectories, all simultaneously and instantaneously. His physical capabilities aren't enhanced, but his neural processing is. Unprecedented. And the Vraxians have no idea, Thorne realized. They see what everyone sees when they look at Eli. An unremarkable human being. Maya smiled slightly. It's his greatest advantage. In his quarters aboard the Vraxian flagship, Eli sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, breathing regulated. The room they'd given him was clearly designed for a much larger being, making the furniture unusable for his human frame. The air was too warm, the gravity slightly heavier than Earth standard. But he'd adjusted within minutes. A panel in the wall slid open, and a smaller Vraxian, perhaps a subordinate caste, entered carrying what appeared to be a container of food and liquid. It set these on a surface near the door and turned to leave without speaking. Wait, Eli called out. Thank you. The Vraxian paused, clearly surprised by the acknowledgement. It turned its head, regarding Eli with confusion, then quickly departed. Eli examined the provisions they'd left. The liquid was clear and, after a cautious taste, proved to be water with added minerals, not pleasant but drinkable. The food was some kind of processed protein cube, designed to meet basic nutritional needs without consideration for taste or texture. "Room service needs work," he muttered, consuming just enough to maintain his energy. He returned to his meditative position, but his eyes remained slightly open now, taking in every detail of his surroundings. His mind calculated 17 different scenarios for tomorrow's combat, each with dozens of sub-variables. He wasn't concerned about the outcome. The variables might change, but the conclusion remained largely the same across all projections. What concerned him more was what would follow. The Vraxians wouldn't accept defeat easily, especially not at the hands of a species they considered inferior. Their response would be critical and potentially devastating for Earth. As night cycle fell across the massive ship, indicated by a dimming of lights and a subtle shift in the background hum of systems, Eli finally allowed himself 4 hours of precisely calculated sleep. His last conscious thought was of the Vraxian guards' walking patterns, a slight heaviness on their right side, suggesting a potential vulnerability in their armor joint systems. Information that might prove useful tomorrow, when he would face War Master Kraz and show the Vraxian Empire exactly what they had overlooked in their assessment of humanity. Morning aboard the Vraxian flagship was heralded by an increase in lighting and a series of tonal announcements that echoed through the corridors. Eli was already awake, having completed his rest cycle with characteristic precision. He stood in the center of his quarters, performing a series of stretching exercises that appeared casual but were actually calibrated to prepare specific muscle groups for optimal performance. The door slid open without warning, revealing 4 Vraxian guards. "It is time, human," the lead guard announced. "Follow." Eli nodded, rolling his shoulders one final time before falling into step behind them. As they marched through the corridors toward the arena, he noticed increased activity throughout the ship. Vraxians of various castes moved purposefully, many heading in the same direction. "Popular event, is it?" Eli asked conversationally. "The defeat of an inferior species champion is tradition," the guard replied. "Many wish to witness your humiliation before your world surrenders." "Sounds like a fun Friday night," Eli remarked. "Though where I'm from, we usually just go to the movies." The guard made a sound that might have been confusion or dismissal, then fell silent as they approached the massive doors leading to the arena of judgment. The entranceway was now flanked by ceremonial guards wearing more elaborate armor adorned with what appeared to be trophies, fragments of armor or weapons, perhaps even body parts, from defeated foes. The doors parted, and a wave of sound washed over them. The arena, nearly empty the day before, was now packed with Vraxians. Hundreds of them filled the viewing tiers, their collective presence creating a low, thrumming energy that Eli could feel through the soles of his feet. Supreme Commander Zethkar stood on a raised platform overlooking the arena floor, resplendent in ceremonial battle armor that gleamed with an iridescent sheen. All 4 eyes fixed on Eli as he was led to the center of the combat area. "The human champion has arrived," Zethkar's voice boomed, amplified throughout the chamber. "As is tradition, he will face our chosen warrior in trial by combat. Should he somehow prevail, Earth will be granted protectorate status. When he falls, his world will submit to our dominion." The emphasis on when rather than if was not lost on Eli, who stood calmly in the center of the arena, hands relaxed at his sides. He wore the same simple clothing he'd arrived in, a gray maintenance uniform with Earth's unified insignia on the shoulder. No armor, no weapons, not even shoes designed for combat. A murmur rippled through the assembled Vraxians, many leaning forward in anticipation. Some were clearly placing wagers on how quickly the human would die. "And now," Zethkar continued, raising all 4 arms in a dramatic gesture, "I present War Master Kraz, undefeated champion of the Vraxian Empire, conqueror of 317 combat trials." From the opposite side of the arena, a massive door slid open, and a figure emerged that caused even Eli's carefully regulated heartbeat to quicken momentarily. War Master Kraz stood over 4 meters tall, towering even among Vraxians. Unlike the others, whose scales were primarily green or blue-black, Kraz's were a deep crimson, marked with patterns of obsidian black that seemed to shift and ripple over powerful muscles. The War Master wore minimal armor, chestplate, shoulder guards, and gauntlets that ended in wickedly curved blades where hands should be. Most disturbing was the face, or lack thereof. Where other Vraxians had distinctive features and 4 eyes, Kraz's head was encased in a smooth, featureless helmet with a single horizontal slit where eyes should be. A glowing red light pulsed behind the opening, scanning methodically from side to side. The War Master stepped forward with earth-shaking steps, each movement a display of controlled power. The crowd erupted in cheers and chanting, a rhythmic sound that resonated through the arena like a heartbeat. Kraz stopped 10 meters from Eli, the red scanner intensifying as it focused on the human. A voice emerged from the helmet, deeper and more mechanical than other Vraxian vocalizations. This. The War Master's tone conveyed utter contempt. This is Earth's champion. Laughter rippled through the arena. I know, Eli replied with a shrug. I forgot my battle pajamas at home. Laundry day. Kraz tilted its massive head, the scanner pulsing more rapidly. You mock your own death, human. No, Eli said, his demeanor shifting subtly. I'm just wondering if you've ever faced someone who can see your movements before you make them. The War Master made a sound that might have been amusement. Your death will be quick, but not painless. For the glory of the Empire. With that final declaration, Kraz charged, moving with shocking speed for something so large. Blade hands extended. The War Master closed the distance in seconds, aiming a strike that would have severed Eli at the waist. The human wasn't there. Eli had shifted exactly 12 centimeters to the left, the minimum distance needed to avoid the attack. He hadn't jumped or rolled, or performed any dramatic evasive maneuver. He had simply not been where the blade passed. Kraz pivoted immediately, recalibrating for a second strike. Again, Eli moved the bare minimum required to avoid it, his expression one of intense concentration but not fear or exertion. The crowd's cheering faltered slightly, confusion replacing bloodlust. The War Master attacked again and again, each strike more furious than the last, each one missing by mere centimeters as Eli moved with mathematical precision, always just beyond reach. Stand and fight, coward. Kraz roared, frustration evident even through the mechanical voice. If you insist, Eli replied quietly. What happened next occurred so rapidly that many in the audience couldn't process it. Eli stepped inside Kraz's guard during a particularly aggressive swing, moving to a position where the War Master's own momentum worked against it, with a series of precise strikes to specific points on the Vraxian's anatomy. Points Eli had calculated based on his observations of their physiology. He targeted nerve clusters and joint weaknesses. The War Master staggered, momentarily disoriented. Eli continued his assault, each movement exact and purposeful. He wasn't fighting with brute strength, impossible against a creature 5 times his mass, but with perfect knowledge of applied physics and biomechanics. In the command center of the United Earth Defense Headquarters, Maya Chen watched the live feed from Eli's ocular implants with satisfaction. There, she said to Admiral Thorne. It's over. What? They're still fighting? Thorne protested, watching as the massive alien warrior recovered and swung again at the seemingly overmatched human. No, Maya replied. Watch. On screen, Eli ducked under a wild swing from Kraz, stepped inside the War Master's reach one final time, and delivered a perfectly calculated strike to a point where the Vraxian's neck armor joined its helmet. The creature's own momentum added force to the impact. There was a distinct crack, audible even through the transmission. The War Master froze mid-motion, then collapsed to the arena floor with a thunderous impact. Silence fell across the arena of judgment. Supreme Commander Zethkar stood motionless on the platform, all 4 eyes widened in disbelief. The assembled Vraxians stared in shock at their fallen champion, and the small human standing calmly beside the massive form. 3 seconds, the entire combat, from Kraz's first charge to final collapse, had lasted exactly 3 seconds. Eli looked up at Zethkar, his expression serious now. "I believe that concludes our trial by combat. Earth will accept protectorate status, as agreed." The silence stretched for several more heartbeats before erupting into chaos. Vraxians shouting, guards rushing forward, weapons being raised. Above it all, Supreme Commander Zethkar's voice thundered with rage. "Treachery. The human used forbidden technology. This trial is invalidated." Eli remained perfectly still as guards surrounded him, weapons pointed at his head. His voice, when he spoke, carried clearly despite the tumult. "No technology, just human capability. Perhaps your studies of our species were incomplete." Zethkar descended from the platform, rage evident in every movement. "Take him to the interrogation chamber. I want to know what enhancements he's concealing before I execute him personally." As the guards closed in, Eli's hand moved to his pocket, where the emergency beacon Maya had given him rested. He didn't activate it yet. There was still information to gather, weaknesses to identify. But the situation had progressed exactly as he'd calculated it would. The Vraxians had seen humanity's potential, and they were afraid. Now came the dangerous part, when fear would drive them to their most destructive impulses. As he was led from the arena, Eli's mind was already calculating the next phase of Commander Chen's strategy, and the role he would play in it. Back on Earth, Maya turned to Admiral Thorne, her expression grim but determined. "Initiate Phase 2. The Vraxians have shown their hand. They don't honor their agreements. Now we show them ours." "God help us all," Thorne murmured, but he gave the order nonetheless. Throughout Earth's solar system, hidden installations began powering up systems.